at Green School, you know, the buildings that we live in, that we work in, and that we educate in, and we're educated in, are art. You know, um, Bali, the island where we're living, the aesthetic of this island, the way that the attention that's put into the way things are built, the way that people garden, the way they dress, things like this in the culture. Um, and then I would argue that everywhere in the world, art, you know, is a. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think that we would probably all agree that art is a huge part of the ecology of our world, right? The way the amount that it influences us, that it allows us to express, to innovate, everything. It's a huge part of humanity, of society, and very important. As important as it, and very integrated into Sal's thesis of community and entrepreneurship. I mean, how many of those videos that we just watched that Erin showed those videos of those kids and they're like, I made a movie, I directed and produced a, you know, film, and I made a website, and I, right? And I would argue that most humans know way more, they've memorized more song lyrics than all of the information, facts, dates, and information that they've learned in school from primary through high school. So I'm the performing arts teacher here at Green School. I've been at Green School for 4 years, and I'm the only teacher left that teaches every learning neighborhood. So I teach early years, primary, middle school, and high school. So through the years, I've really got to know the specific, unique qualities of the developmental stages of a Green School child, and working with them. And so when I first got to Green School, and on my first day, or when I started teaching here, that I really thought about that question a lot. Like, what does it mean to be a Green School performing arts teacher? How is that different? What should I be doing? How do I green up my program? And I would say that my scope and sequence as a teacher, my learning curve, like I feel like through the 4 years of really asking this question, 4 years later, it's snowballed and transformed a lot. So I want to take you guys through that journey a little bit. And I want you to keep in mind that, did you already study that sort of ecophobia scope? So, you know, the ways that we're talking about the environment. So just keep that in mind as we go through this too, because I feel like that's sort of that is what is evolved in our arts program. I've also been the learning manager of the specialist teacher, so all the art teachers through the years. And so this, I would say, holds true, though I teach drama in the visual arts and as well. And you know Annie, who's in your group, I got to work with her as she was a visual arts teacher here at Green School last year for a bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start how I started thinking about greening up the arts. And we're going to do a little quick project. I don't want it to take too much time. It should be very quick. And I want you to be thinking about, it's like interpersonal work when you're doing this. How does this make you feel when you're doing this little bit of work? And you're actually helping us right now by doing this. I'm putting you to work, and your work is going to go toward a production that Katrina and I are working on. Are you guys finished?
Yep.
Do you mind sitting here so I can see you got everybody? Are you all pretty finished? Pretty finished? So you can keep working a little, but maybe just open up the circle so we can all have one discussion. Okay, so, and the plastic water bottles, they have these like 4 things that we use. And the printer paper is the paper that we use when we print all of our stuff at Green School. And we always have these blue, very uniform things. So we start to look at these objects as our resources. And when we start to handle them, something transforms in the way that our relationship to this, right? So we have a plastic water bottle, and maybe the kids that first arrived, you know, from Australia, from the US, from Canada, from around the world, from Asia, and they come to the school and they're used to, like, they're in their hotels and they're like, oh, can I order a plastic water bottle? And they order their water. And then when you get to green school, no plastic water bottles, please, on campus. And then we have the recycling center over there. And then in the recycling center, which who is in this community where there's like a center for creative reuse, or recycling centers that have things organized in them? Resources, anyone? Yeah, you have one. So when things are organized nicely, like you guys put all of your bottles together, the kids start to be like, oh, these are pretty. You know, like, oh, you know what we can do with these? We can, you know, create set pieces, and we should clean these up. Like, this one's dirty. Sarita, this one's dirty. Can I go clean it? Right? And then the wrappers become, oh, isn't it ironic, Sarita? It says aqua on it. It's water. This should totally be, we should make our whole set, the ocean waves, out of these, and we put fans on it, and they're blowing. And then another kid, oh, that would be so cool if the whole back of the set, and our whole set is only made of water bottles. So the back, we make stained glass out of the water bottles and project through it from the back. So for a production we're just about to do, we're working with Katrina that you just helped us with, so thank you. We are actually making about 50 columns. We don't have a place hidden high enough to hang it in here, but I did want to show you what they're like, of these water bottles, all different sizes. We're then painting it with this material, like a sunset, and lighting it from behind a little bit through the stained glass sort of effect. And we're also using a lot of this stuff that are like, I think that was a sandwich, this one. But these are like, this plastic is so nice, right? It's like such a quality material. So we're turning this into this beautiful thing. We're going to make these ocean waves. And so that's how, you know, we start to see these resources. Maybe the next time then that student goes to buy water, something inside of them is transformed, or we're thinking about these resources differently. So that transformative practice. Okay, so that's number one. That's sort of like primary and elementary school in that ecophobia, where we're like, first we just want them to be out in nature, right? First we just want them to experience it, feel it, be it, like, you know, what do we, you know, play with it and love it. So first we just want the people to love the plastic, okay, and love the earth, and that's what's most important. So that's why, not just because, like, yeah, it's true, we want to be sustainable. The arts are so resource heavy, right? There's paints to buy, there's all these supplies always that people think they need for arts programs. As you can see by my pencils and pens, we don't really buy a lot of resources here. Okay, so that's number one, right, on that ecophobia continuum. But here at Green School is this idea of wall-lessness, or full integration. So I don't have enough time, unfortunately, I would love to talk to people about this for a long time, but in my humble opinion, if you are designing a school right now, like our friends from Bhutan, or if you're at a school, if you really want to do arts right and entrepreneurial, you know, all of these things right, you really have to have the most flexible timetable as possible, and the most amount of opportunities for teachers to work together and to integrate. So at the primary level, the integration happens, like, for example, these are masks that the students were doing a thematic of the Chinese zodiac right around Chinese New Year. So the art so we found a play and some musical for grade 3 to do the Chinese zodiac musical. And so we asked the art teacher, could the kids make their own masks, their own costumes for the play? And so that's one way, without much of a flexible timetable, like I'm not going into the classroom and doing the play for their thematic. I like that even better. So if as a specialist, timetable is flexible enough where when all the primary teachers are doing their thematic lessons, I can be like, hey, Ibu Jen, grade 5, you guys are studying Greek mythology. I will come in and teach that thematic with you, and we'll do a whole play, this whole musical production that, and we'll do it together. And that's how they will learn the information. Not like we teach them about all the gods and goddesses and all the things, and then later we do a play. If you're going to learn about all the gods and goddesses through the play, like, why do it twice, right? So we've had that in the past, and we're going to go back to that sort of format next year of just a much more flexible schedule. Co-teaching, like Erin was talking about, is so crucial. It's like how we give each other living professional development, right? We learn from each other every day. So that's just my little spiel. I think flexible timetabling and integration is super key. But as we move through this, this scope and sequence, I was talking about how my idea of greening up the arts transformed through the years. So as we get to middle school, as you know, it's more about global awareness now. So it's a little bit, you don't want to scare them, right, about what's going on in the world. But at the same time, it's time for them to learn about some issues. And it's time for them to think and have some critical thinking and learn about these things. So the play that we are working on, that you guys just helped out with, is an original musical that I wrote. And I actually wrote it with, where did I put these? Yeah, I wrote it with a student of mine from 12 years ago. He was my student for 5 years in Marin County in California. And he came out to intern with me in Catania for a month. And he's on his gap year now. I taught him when he was a little kid. And he said, I want to come to green school. I want to have a month. And I said, I need help writing this musical. I'll do all the music. Can you help me write the dialogue? And he came and sat in here for a month, and he left. So that was really cool. And we have this. So this is the kids' copy, but I want you to check it out. And then we're going to just do a number from it. And so this is how it's transformed for me. So this is a noble material, a plastic musical. And this is I'm putting this on right now with middle school students. And this is, does anybody know Conference of the Birds or that play? This is basically a story of the existential and physical journey of plastic from its invention to its journey to the North Pacific garbage patch, or the gyre, the swirling pit of garbage that's in the ocean, larger than the state of Texas, that's swirling out between Hawaii and the United States. A huge global issue. What happens with all this plastic? It goes out to the gyre. Why? Let's sing and dance about it. What can we do about it? Let's sing and dance about it. So the way that we're integrating now is their global studies, the things that they're learning in middle school, have all the Kambali, the work they've done with Kambali, the Bye Bye Plastic Bag campaigns are helping us to make. We're all integrating, and we're creating this plastic musical. We call it theater is revolution. The scientists, and there's a reason I gave you the script to look at. The scientists in the play have created plastic, and they're so excited. They were they invented it because they were going to help save the world, because all these terrible problems are happening in the world, and they have this solution. So they create this amazing, incredible material that's so durable, and they create plastic. And suddenly, the plastic has just been invented, and these are kids in their plastic couture costumes. They're personified plastic people. And they've just been invented. All these things have happened at the beginning. Oh, I need a guitar, not a drum. And and so the scene starts where we're going to start here. The scene starts where they are just waking up. They've just been invented. And the light's going to go on. And they start this song.
Full
that by personifying plastic, by doing this journey, by feeling by personifying the gyre, by going on this journey, and to really think like, is it the plastic's fault? What is the potential of plastic? Like, what should we be doing? And who are the solutionaries? One group of characters are the solutionaries, the journalist and the innovator and the spiritual leader. And we even have a young John Hardy in the play, creating a school of bamboo. So all of these things. So I feel like so that's how, in the middle school level, that's for me greening the arts. So it's full integration, right? It's full, it's how deep can we learn? How deep can we learn with whatever we're doing? How deep can we take it, right? What we believe and what we do, and how deeply can we express it so that other people can feel it? And at the high school level, I don't have a lot of time, but I'm very influenced by Boal and by Theater of the Oppressed and Theater as Revolution and Guerrilla Theater. And so at the high school level, we just really do a lot of theater around agency and using really big topics. Like I've co-taught classes with Emily, who does women's studies and media studies, and we've created a whole, we did a whole block about women's issues and pairing different issues, like deep issues that happen from Bali, local issues, prostitution, female genital mutilation, abuse, poverty, and pairing them up with traditional theater methods like our local Wayankuli, like our shadow theater, Buto from Japan, all different styles. So they're learning about, a tradition of theater, but they're expressing through their women's studies, and they get credit for both classes when we do those kind of pairings up. And we had a whole improv block at the beginning of this year doing Theater of the Oppressed. How can we use theater to move people into revolution? And so, songwriting, singing, all of this. So deep integration for me is greening up the arts. And I would also argue that I think as a progressive school, we're always doing that. We're always changing. We're always progressing. We're always reflecting and trying to assess and restructure. And sometimes it's crazy here how much it happens. But I argue that we shouldn't have a class called Green Studies, and we shouldn't even really think about like greening up the arts. That's why I was like, about what do you think that means? I don't know. Because, at this point, I just feel like it should be just what we do and how we do it.